So this is how to become a 5-minute expert on checking out my history. Compares really well to the Emigree, so check out that 5-minute expert video too. So, just a little bit of context. Agard was born in British Guyana, and British Guyana is a Caribbean country. They consider themselves a Caribbean country. They're not an island, they are on the mainland, but he was born in a part of that was colonised by the British. Now, colonised countries are sort of taken over by another country, and then that country influences everything about them, like government, education, for example. Now, Agard didn't like the fact that they were constantly teaching him a very European-centered version of history. Now, there's nothing wrong with obviously learning different parts of history, but he basically points out the fact that as a young man in the Caribbean and a young Caribbean boy, he needed to learn about his culture too, but that was taken away from him. And everything he learned was based on only white British history, which was something that he couldn't connect with as a young boy in the Caribbean. So he wishes that he was taught more about his culture as well, and he could be taught that in a very similar way to the way he was taught this British European history. So the quotes that I like to look at are blind me to my own identity, seafar woman, dem tell me, and I carving out my identity. And we'll go over each of these in detail. So for the first one, blind me to my own identity, we've got this metaphor that he feels blinded, and obviously we've got blinding, which connotes injury. So he feels the British have intentionally kept his identity away from him. He doesn't feel like he can connect to his culture because he feels like that's all been taken from him with this very limited education that he was given. Then we have the way he describes the people that he wants to learn about. So the people, these big characters in Black history specifically. Now, for this one, he is talking about people of note, and he's talking about Nanny the Maroon. So he calls her a seafar woman of mountain dream, firewoman struggle, hopeful stream to freedom river. Now, a lot of the time in this poem, he's talking about nursery rhymes and other things that he learned that actually they're not really that useful. But here, he really describes her in such a lovely way. So this is where he begins to talk about people of note from Black history. And I really like the metaphorical phrases to show his admiration for them. So mountain dream, for example, it shows that her dreams are ambitious and hard to conquer, like climbing a mountain. And he also calls her a fire woman, which shows her passion, because obviously we know fire connotes passion. Now, I like this natural imagery of a stream to a river. So obviously streams feed into a river. And for her, she played such a huge part in freeing Caribbean slaves that she really was that stream, one of the streams that led to the river of freedom for a lot of them. So it's a really lovely way to describe her, and it really shows his admiration for these figures and how he wishes he learnt about them sooner. Now then we have Dem tell me about Old King Cole was a merry old soul. Now Agard juxtaposes worthwhile Black history with something made up like nursery rhymes, so useless things he was taught in school that he didn't really need to be taught in school. So they've kind of wasted time on Old King Cole was a merry old soul and a merry old soul was he, those sort of nursery rhymes, because they've wasted that time when they could have been teaching them about their history too. They could have been teaching them about this rich Caribbean history as well. So it shows this kind of oppressive system. They did not want to allow these people to connect to their culture. And then we have the structure of the poem as well. So the poem structure changes. When he starts discussing Black history and Caribbean culture, he starts to become more song-like. The lines get shorter. It's read with more of a beat, and that links to the musicality of Caribbean culture. And the whole way through, he's also speaking in his own dialect as well, and it links really nicely to this last quotation, I carving out my identity. We've got this forceful verb carving, which shows that he's taking back control. He's taking ownership. He's crafting something. So he is putting in the effort to understand things about his own culture now. So as he's gotten older, he's doing that. So the whole poem is obviously written in his dialect because it's reflecting that Caribbean accent that he has, and it shows him taking back his identity the same way the structure does. So both of those things are incredibly important. Now, if you haven't watched the Emigre video, these are great poems to compare together, because remember, you're talking about how they're both reconnecting with their culture and they're both taking back that ownership over something that they feel was taken from them. So if you like this video, like, subscribe, and you can comment if you need me to go over anything else.